You are on the record.
Let's call today's Board of Ethics meeting for November 15th. Let's call today's meeting to order. Madam Clerk, could we take roll?
Terry Kelly,
Here.
Peter Nolan,
Here.
Ted Carlson, and he asked to be excused. Keith Silver,
Here.
David Nesbitt.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Do we have a motion to approve today's agenda?
I'd make that motion.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, today's agenda is approved. Everyone, please take a moment to look at the minutes from our last meeting. This would be our October 18th meeting.
You could say slight modification for, instead of also in attendance, it would be essentially in attendance.
I'd make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? All right, very good. Persons to be heard, we have none. Special orders, we have none. So let's move on to old business, ASD employee gifts. Oh, which I take it, is that the,
Mr. Chair, I think that would be the issue, which interestingly, we discussed at your training, that you discussed the development of a notice regarding the issue of ASD employee gifts. That was in your minutes. And so you were thinking of a notice to be given to the school board.
okay, sounds good. Yeah, so Barb, I sent to you and to everyone on the committee the letter that we're using to send out the teachers. And so you've got that now, the form letter.
You sent it to me, great.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you
I got
very
it
much.
during the
Half an hour
meeting, too.
ago, yeah, during the meeting, so.
Okay.
And so, yeah, so, two, I think we sort of have Julia's approval to write a compass piece, and so I don't know if the board's interested in doing that. I think it would be a good idea. It's early enough that I think we could get it in before the height of the gift-giving season.
Can I ask a procedural question here? To avoid ourselves getting in trouble with public meetings, if the chair wrote a letter to our compass piece and then send it around for our editing, are we creating an issue with the public meetings?
Barbara, we were concerned at one point with the question of serial emailing.
Mhm.
And I guess we were the attorneys were concerned with it, that there's a lot of discussion back and forth versus just clerical editing. If there was substantive discussion by email, there was some concern that at least those emails had to be attached to the record or somewhere in the public forum. So I guess that would be all if there is that your emails might make it into a public forum or attached to the next minutes or something.
So I think that's a really good option. I would say under the first option, if they were clerical, that I would say it would not violate the Open Meetings Act at all. If they were substantive, then I think that it would just be a good idea to attach them, and then there would be no issue as far as I would be concerned.
Well,
Yeah.
I was saying earlier, committee councils work under the same open meeting rule, and what we do, and what we just got through doing actually in regards to an amendment vote
Mhm.
was, there's a lot of discussion back, an amendment was written, there was a vote, and a lot of discussion back and forth via email by the steering committee, but that was all put into a draft form and put onto the website, so anybody could see the discussion that was had,
Yeah.
what way the vote went, for people to look at. I don't know how that works in the board, but, and then if we wanted to discuss it in a more formal way, bringing the board together, then we had to make the usual notice of an open meeting, but, it seemed to work. I don't know if that.
No, that's exactly what we're suggesting.
Well, and
because-
provided that, if we're so advised when the compass piece goes out, that, this could be a member, could be subject to public disclosure, so, keep your comments to the subject. And, I don't personally have an issue with it. I just wanted to make sure we didn't get ourselves in trouble.
And I think that's the remedy for serial emailing. They have said that's subject to, public this and open that, so that we should, that would solve the problem, just what your community council did.
All right, sounds good. So do we have a motion then for me to write a compass
I'd
piece?
make
Unless
a
someone else
motion.
wants to volunteer, but I'll do it.
I'd like
but
to
if-
make a motion for Terry to produce a compass piece, such as the one that we discussed in regards to employee gifts of the municipality and the Increase School District.
Second.
And
Discussion,
I may
yeah.
make it, under discussion, here, Dr. Kelly, is that it was be written to maybe the 10th grade reading level?
You got it.
I mean, I've read some of your writing, and it's great writing, but, some of it can be, for these people, for the
You're
average
still
person,
mad
it
about
probably would be
Kafkaesque, the
difficult.
Kafkaesque situation.
In regards-
No, there will be no Kafkaesque or existentialist.
Thank you, because I read
approach,
compass pieces
right,
all the
yeah,
time, and
so-
they got about a paragraph to keep me, and then you're gone.
No, my view is that, we have a number of documents already. We have, I actually still have the old recommendation that we sent to the board, the school board from a few years ago. We have the form letter that we sent to teachers, and then the write-up that I've got for the annual report. I'll just be drawing from that kind of content. And that'll be like the substance of the idea. And then I'll make it a little bit more colloquial and public oriented.
And how the procedure will be that you'll write it and get it to all of us?
I'll write it, and I think we'll email it out. In terms of substance, there will be no new substance except for what's already been approved by the board in those other documents. And so it should just be a question of style. And so we'll have we'll do editorial comments, save those emails, and I guess we'll make them a part of the next meeting's public record. But it should be just editorial type.
Yeah, we're looking for a possible published date around the 10th or so
Sunday.
of December,
That would be
before the
nice.
school term is out.
I think that would be the way to do it, yeah. So ASAP would be of the order of the day. So I would look for something from me this weekend.
Somewhere
and
around
if-
December 9th, so it's kind of fresh in their minds, and that's about 10 days before school gets out.
Okay, is that when the kids get out? Is it like the 20th? You guys, my kid isn't that old yet.
Tell you things if I had the calendar. in front of me.
Oh,
Yes,
I-
right
I-
around.
because
I-
UAA finals week is a little earlier than that, so, okay.
You guys get out.
Yeah, we got the cushy
Yeah.
schedule.
Thanks.
Might be real quick, your interview with the news to get some of those little comments in there.
I actually think
That's
it's
a
a
good
late
point.
start. I think their last day of school is like December 20th. Is that right?
I think it's a good idea, though, what we were discussing is make sure that what's in there are some things that you
Yes.
can do.
Right. Yeah, that's a
Instead
good
of-
point.
We shouldn't start
So
the
somewhere
letter by
around
saying,
9th,
you will be
Yes.
fired.
That should be before the.
It may get their
Well, and you're right,
attention,
and that was
but-
the nice thing about the interview, because we wound up talking a
Mhm.
lot about the handwritten letters,
Exactly. The things that
food,
are
stuff
available.
like that. Yeah.
Well, and, the handwritten letters and cards, I've had teachers tell me that, they much appreciate that much more than.
Which is what you were saying.
Yeah, because then there was that follow-up article, right, that said that, right? That's
Right.
So I guess, I think the tone has a lot to do with it. We don't want to come off as this.
Especially if
Autocratic
you
board.
grab them for more than a paragraph. I think it's helpful to get a very nice tone at the beginning and then lay the hammer down in the second paragraph.
The kiss method.
The Oreo cookie method, right?
Oh, I've never heard it that way.
That's right.
Yeah, what is it, the compliment on the either side and then the
Yeah, well, that's-
criticism in the middle? I don't know.
No, that's exactly what we used to do.
Charlotte, so she was reviewing a term paper that I just finished grading, and my comments on the front are sort of like, I open with, "This is really a solid effort," and then I trash the paper where a student
Well,
gets,
it's the old-
like a C minus, right? Charlotte? If my professor Amy gave me back a paper that said solid effort and then gave me a C minus, I'm like, well, that's what solid effort means.
Well,
right?
it's always to criticize the act, not the individual or
Right,
person.
right.
Listen, you shouldn't be doing this. It's
Right,
this,
right.
this practice.
Yeah, take the
So
I and the you
criticize
out.
the act,
That's right.
and not the person
Yeah.
who might do it.
No. I'm confident that the professor will strike the right sort of
And
code.
maybe use some some example, real world examples of what has happened. We don't have to name names, that's easy, so.
No,
So
absolutely.
that's right. How long do you, how much, what length and what space do we have for a compass piece?
What's it,
Well, I was
750
thinking, I usually don't publish anything less than about 25 pages.
words?
And
I
that
know
should
you,
work.
that's, we're gonna have to whittle you down, right?
So we
Yeah,
may-
they'll edit it, no
so
problem.
I'm thinking we may need to check it with Dee what our budget is as the committee and get an
Right.
insert
Mhm.
and have holiday inserts, Board of Ethics holiday insert. All the stuff you're not allowed to
No,
do.
good
answer, yeah.
It's, by the way, a cookie drive to pay for this compass piece. You know?
That's right.
I think you'll find that it's probably
750 words, I think.
750 or 1,000 words, no more.
Yeah.
And actually, it's probably in the ADN's website, it'll say
Yeah.
guidelines.
For submissions, yeah.
And might help to get it published, tell them when we want, to discuss it with them ahead of time.
And to continue with, I don't mean to leave this subject yet, but to continue with what appears as though the board discussed at the last meeting, as far as notifying the school district or notifying ASD, what, and then after our discussion today, what did we have in mind for notifying teachers? Has something been drafted? Is it going to be circulated? How are we going to handle that situation in light of the fact that the school board has declined those types of things in the past? I don't know if we've talked about that or not.
Well, I wonder if we could, if we could take this, maybe even this compass piece, maybe, either the piece or just bulk it up just a little bit more, and send it to the superintendent and ask them, I assume there's some mass email list of all employees of the school district like there is for the city, and say, would you send this on to all pretty much everyone in the school district?
would you,
That might not
or-
require school board permission, it might just be an executive decision by the superintendent to do. Again, maybe we should try to have them in, I guess the next meeting might be too late to deal with this,
I
but we
thought
should.
we actually I heard from the city clerk that she could do it the whole, she has, now, whether it be advisable to do another story, but you have
Well-
the ability to publish it.
But does yours include school district employees?
It does
too?
not.
So
So
it's
my
just-
advice would be that either one or two, no more than three of you, meet with the superintendent. Maybe you have your Compass article and it's ready to be published and you know that. And, we could find some municipality of Anchorage letterhead and we could have it on letterhead and you ask him to distribute this. And I think it's a good ask. But I think you can do that, and if you would like my office to facilitate setting up the meeting, we could certainly do that.
And you need 24 hours because when you had the superintendent,
superintendent.
that makes 4 people.
But I don't think that's still a public meeting, it's this board, it's more than 3 or a majority, so that would be
That would be a majority.
So it would have to be only 2 of you.
Well, but otherwise you just need to make notice, right? Is that an
Right.
issue? If you need 24 hours notice?
Right.
Okay.
So if all of
Because-
you wanted to go, that would be great.
Because it sounds to me like the tone that can be taken is not a would you, but please.
Correct.
And that's perfectly appropriate, and that it's just important that we go into a meeting knowing what the board, what this board has as far as the capabilities go, and the tone that we strike with the, obviously it's going to be respectful, but if we have a little bit more authority than we've been asserting in the past, as far as, will you please notice, send this out, then I think that's much more effective.
And I'm not your legal advisor, but Julia's talking about remedies. She mentioned in your training, returning something. So do you need to assert your authority and say, not only do we believe this was a violation, and in the future, we're gonna tell you to return it. So I don't care how much you sit in my office and cry. So I think you're exactly right, David, that you do have the authority.
So, and it'd be good to meet with the superintendent also just to start developing a
That's right.
relationship.
Absolutely.
The new superintendent, we
And
do a lot of
understand
issues
that-
involved with school board, so,
He will more likely bring Eric along.
and that's good, yeah, and that's because
Eric
Eric's
doesn't work
continuity.
there anymore.
Oh,
Oh.
okay, so a new shuffle.
That's
we
good. So
don't-
much for institutional
New
continuity.
person is Todd Hess.
Okay, I don't know.
And Todd used to work for Eric. He was the contract administrator, so,
So he might be, I don't know if he's up to speed on the ethics. Okay, let me tell.
Well, that's, I mean, because, I mean, after all, we could send, before this meeting, we could send the summary that I wrote up for the annual report on where we've been and what's happened over the last year and the actions the board has taken. That might get them up to speed.
Yeah, and then I think a meeting with the superintendent would be appropriate because he's coming to this fresh. And we don't know what kind of briefing he's had on this particular issue.
That's right. Yeah, it may not even be on his radar.
and he may
Seriously,
not
right?
have any staff come with him.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's not on his radar, really.
yeah, I would imagine, yeah.
So
It certainly wasn't on Carol's when we brought, I remember the first time we brought Carol in, she was like, she couldn't believe, you know, the stuff that we were showing her.
So I will leave it up to you to let me know dates that work for you and dates in like mornings, afternoons, and then I will send the request to the superintendent's office.
How many people are interested in going? I mean, at a certain point, if it's enough of us, we might as well just hold a Board of Ethics meeting, right?
Well, I will
Maybe
notice
we
it,
actually get
I
some
will
business.
notice it as a public meeting, so.
Well, then let's all go.
I say we should
Okay.
all go. unless-
Absolutely.
Okay, so just tell me dates and times.
Unless we have an absolute conflict, we can't make it, I think it's
Well,
important.
assuming-
So what was, I mean, but would you like us all to go to the superintendent or invite the superintendent to come to a Board of Ethics meeting? Because that way we could go do some other business too. if we're gonna do
Whose
it together.
territory?
Well,
Right.
it's about timing. We would need to
Right,
do
that's
this
right.
within the next couple of weeks.
That's right. And as I said, if we all want to do it
If we all want to do it
anyway,
and call
then-
another meeting of the ethics board, it would have to be within the next couple of weeks, so we
Right.
can get to that point before
Well,
school is out.
I'm just
Which-
gonna suggest the tone is gonna be totally different
Yeah,
if you go to
exactly.
him. You're welcoming him to Anchorage if you haven't met him before, you're getting acquainted with him, you're going onto his turf, and then you're telling him what he needs
And
to do.
same with only having two people. It's much more effective than sending 6 or 8.
Well, and under those circumstances, I'd be willing to step down or go, however.
Yeah,
it has to be.
I'm easy.
Same here.
Whatever.
I definitely think Dr. Kelly should go, and at least one other person. And,
And maybe Mr. Silver, simply because he's the longest standing member on the board.
Yes.
I'm not
No,
volunteering.
no, he
if
is
you
the
don't-
longest
Uh,
standing.
No,
but,
other than,
But the
other
second.
than
But
Terry who's going.
I'm also the only other person who attended the other meeting where we got shot down by the school.
Yeah, that's good. If you're, Keith, if you
Yeah.
don't mind the extra time, I think you're
No,
the good
provided
tab.
it's-
You got the
it's
lo-
not the
second
first full
longest
week of December,
memory,
uh,
and you've been there, yeah.
I'm not available the first full week of December.
Okay.
So
If that becomes the only time that it's possible, I'd be more than happy
Yeah.
to step into it.
what's your last week of November look like?
Open for me.
Last week of November. Oh, right now it looks pretty good. I think Monday and Tuesday are out because I have folks in from out of town. And then Wednesday and Thursday, 28, 29, I'm good in the afternoons, but not in the mornings. And then Friday, the 30th, I should just be totally free. You know, and the 26th and 27th, are, in a worst case scenario, I could do either one of those
Okay,
anytime.
all right, I will send an email and, Keith, open? Are you open?
I'm open that week. It's the following week.
Okay.
I leave Monday the 3rd, and I'll be in Seattle all week.
Okay.
All right, party at Keith's house.
Yeah.
Were we done with the discussion? Did we never vote on the motion?
You have not voted on the
I
motion.
think so. On writing the letter and.
Yeah, I don't think, we kind of veered off into
We've
We
got
had a
number
discussion,
of
so.
directions. Yeah, right. that's a
A
good
motion
point.
by Pete and it was seconded by David. But
All right,
you
any
have-
other discussion then on the compass piece?
I'd call a question.
All right. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, no? All right, very good. That passes. We'll do the compass piece, and then Barbara will set up a meeting with Keith and I to meet with the superintendent. Good, next, annual report. I hate to say I don't have anything more for the annual report. I do have the stats now from Barb and everything like that.
I was
so
just gonna
I'll
ask you if I had sent those to
You
you,
had?
because I
Oh.
don't remember if I did, but I
So,
know they're
our
done.
Our next item is annual report, and I have not gotten from Barb yet any of those stats. And so, again, that's the main hurdle holding.
Well,
us
you
back.
know that you're trying.
Not my slot.
I know you're
That's
trying.
not the problem.
Because it's actually a relatively large chunk of the report.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah, so no, we're good, now Barb sent that to me, so we're good to go, I just, need to integrate it together, I don't mind telling you, I just sort of forgot about today's meeting, I'm telling you, I'm glad you sent out that reminder, had you not, I would be out skiing somewhere, going, I have this feeling I should be somewhere. So let's move on, though again, because I will pull it together then for the next meeting, so if you have anything you want to add in terms of stuff you thought we did last year, that you want to add, recommendations for changes to the code, information that you would want to kind of like help use to educate the assembly or the mayor on highlight something or something like that, write up some language and send it to me before the next meeting if you don't mind, and then we'll have a draft for the next meeting and then move on from there. So we still may yet meet our goal of having it done by the end of the year.
We didn't, I don't know that we noticed a meeting in December.
Okay.
Because December the third Thursday would be the 20th. So I'm not sure, you can discuss that, I've got a next meeting date.
Okay.
You can decide if you'd like to meet earlier than that, or if you still want to meet then or not, but I don't think I've noticed that one.
Okay. Yeah, why don't we talk about that when we get to, we'll make that the end of the meeting, we'll figure out what we're gonna do next. How about, notice of potential violation, 2012-2, this is our, do we have a motion to move into executive session?
Motion to move into executive session.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let's move into executive session, please, Madam Clerk.